Pokémon Horizons just left the world gobsmacked by sneaking a character from Ash Ketchum's anime into the brand new episode. That's episode 112, the beginning of the Lumio City flashback arc. So first, let's discuss all of that insanity, and then we'll review the full episode itself. Just to let you guys know quickly though, I did test positive for COVID the other day and I'm really sick unfortunately. So if I sound super nasal or rough in this video, which I know I do, hopefully you can excuse it this one time. So yeah, be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy, and now let's dive into it. The brand new opening theme for the Lumio City mini-arc seemed pretty casual to begin with. It was just a bunch of scenes showcasing Roy and Lucario and Uruto, or should I say Alt now, because the English dub just confirmed that Uruto's name in English is Alt. So from now on I'll try and use that name for him, even if it'll take some getting used to, and even if being British makes it really hard to pronounce the T at the end of Alt. Anyway, the opening theme showed Roy and Alt bonding and battling in Lumio City, and everything seems pretty normal, but then something huge happened. We see Emma with the two of them, which obviously we expected, but look closely in the background, dude. Are you seeing what I'm seeing? On the photo on the wall. It's Emma and Luca. Luca from the Pokemon games. Luca who also appeared prominently in Ash's anime. He's even with his Krogunk from the games too. That's absolutely Luca, even if it's blurry. Other than generic Nurse Joys and a generic camper NPC, this is the first time ever in its entire 112 episode run that Pokémon Horizons has ever shown or referenced a character who appeared in Ash's anime. This is genuinely huge, man. I can't believe Horizons finally did it. Now of course, Luca plays a bigger role in Emma's story in the X and Y games, basically saving her and mentoring her, so of course it does make sense for him to be in a picture with Emma in the anime too, but you've got to remember Pokemon Horizons is an anime that was so desperate to avoid absolutely any comparisons or nods to Ash's anime that they literally removed a Meowth from an episode just because fans joked that it looked like Team Rocket's Meowth. The Horizons staff have intentionally gone out of their way to avoid any connections to Ash's anime. They've acted that way for nearly 3 years up until this opening theme, but now showing Luca, that really does open the floodgates, dude. It's clear that they're no longer afraid, they're no longer shackled. They know that Horizons at this point has built its own foundation, its own community, so now they're okay with doing stuff like this. Of course, there's been a ton of theorizing in the community that this could mean Ash's anime and Pokemon Horizons take place in the same universe, and while I personally do believe they take place in the same universe, I don't think this is clear certain proof of that, you know? Because after all, Luca isn't exclusive to Ash's anime. He was a game character first and foremost, so it could be another universe, not necessarily Ash's. Until we possibly hear Emma talking about Luca in one of the next few episodes, we won't know for sure. But hey, if she references something that Luca did specifically in the anime, like helping to defeat Team Plasma and Unova, or meeting a trainer with a Pikachu, well, if that happens, then we will know that Horizons and Ash are in the same universe. But Luca just existing in Horizons isn't 100% proof of that yet. Regardless, I'm just so hyped that Horizons is no longer afraid of referencing stuff like this. It opens up the door to so many exciting possibilities in the future, and I can't wait to see them all unfold. So, the episode itself. On the way to the Blueberry Academy, Liko and Dot want to know how Roy and Alt met and how they met Lucario, so as Roy begins to explain what happened in the 1-year time skip, the flashbacks begin. Basically, Roy and his Pokemon arrived in Lumio City and Carlos, and you can tell this can't be long after the Rising Voltacklers disbanded, because Roy still looks younger and he's still in his old clothes too. Roy gets lost in the streets of Lumios, which is the realest thing of all time, man, because I can't count how many times that happened to me in X and Y too. I bet it's going to happen even more when Legends ZA releases. But thanks to Cap's fuss phobia, they end up at the Prism Tower. And man, it feels so genuinely surreal to see Roy standing where our boy Ash stood 10 years ago. Now we just need him to follow in Ash's footsteps even more and bump into Clement and Bonnie outside the oh no, wait. Roy bumps into Alt instead. Not quite Clement and Bonnie, but a good second best. This is the first time Roy and Alt have ever met, and they immediately begin bickering, setting the stage for their entire rivalry for the rest of time. And it's quite funny seeing that Alt hasn't grown in height or appearance at all since then, whereas Roy had such a huge glow up afterwards. I mean, look at his height compared to Alt in the flashback, and then compare the height difference after the time skip. That's so funny, man. I guess Roy just got lucky. So Roy and Alt are then distracted by a battle nearby, and dude, for a second I thought this woman here was Diantha in one of her famous disguises, especially because they then showed a Gardevoir immediately after. But nope, it's just a random lady. I'm sure she'll take it as a compliment that I thought she was the champion. So yeah, these two random trainers are having a Pokemon battle, Gardevoir versus Slowbro, and a little into the battle they Mega Evolve their Pokemon, which absolutely amazes Roy. The battle doesn't last very long and Gardevoir wins, but it was still a fun one seeing a Mega versus Mega battle for the first time in ages. And hey, I can ignore how absolutely rough the animation was during the Mega Evolution, because I can't exactly blame them for not wanting to put so much work and time into such complex animations for two random nobodies. Roy and Alt then meet Master Mayonnaise, and man, I've never been more certain that this is Karina's dad. Not only do they have the exact same hair and eyes and colour schemes, but they're also both Mega Evolution experts, they're both from the Kalos region, but also their names are related too. Karina's name in Japanese refers to gherkins, and Karina's grandfather's name in Japanese refers to cucumbers, and now this new guy is called Mayonnaise. That means everyone in that family has names based on toppings that you put in burgers or sandwiches. Gherkin, cucumber, and mayonnaise. Surely that can't be a coincidence. Anyway, Roy and Alt want to learn Mega Evolution from Master Mayonnaise, once again bickering over it, and Captain Pikachu seems to show interest in one Mega Stone in particular. I wonder if this could be teasing that someday he'll become a Mega Raichu. That would be an insane twist when Friede returns, but I can totally see it happening. Not only because Mega Raichu X really gives a Captain Pikachu vibe, Captain Pikachu's entire thing is that it loves being in the air, in the sky, up above ground, and Mega Raichu X's official description mentions that it can float in the air, and that it moves quickly through the air because of its massive tails elevating it. It would be so perfect for Cap to Mega Evolve into Mega Raichu X, and then also it would help to distinguish Cap from Ash's Pikachu even more. Anyway, Master Mayonnaise explains Mega Evolution to them both, and although he says that Mega Evolution hasn't been discovered for Crocolore's line yet, Roy is still super hopeful that they can still achieve it someday, and that was a really nice moment for the two of them, dude. It made me smile. I really hope someday that Mega Skeledirge does become a thing, just so Roy and Crocolore can fulfill their goal. Mayonnaise then gives Roy and Alt the Mega Ring Keystones from Legends ZA, and I saw some fans criticising how this felt way too easy for them. But personally, I've got to defend Horizons here, because if you look back at the anime's history, keystones have always been acquired this way. Elan was gifted his keystone from Lysander, Karina was gifted her keystone from her grandfather, Ash was gifted his keystone from Karina. Keystones have always been gifted to trainers, so Roy and Alt being gifted them by Master Mayonnaise, I don't think it's fair to use that against Horizons. But then it also turns out that Alt actually already has Sableye Megastone too, because they've been gathering any gems or crystals that call to them for as long as they've known each other, and honestly I think that's really fitting for their characters. If anyone is going to already have their Mega Stone without realising it, then obviously it's going to be the Pokemon who's biologically designed to hunt down gems, and the trainer who's known for hoarding them. I think it's a fun little twist that fits their characters well. Crocolore then begins trying to find a Mega Stone for himself too, but he ends up finding this stone instead. Now it's not confirmed or stated in the episode, but this stone that Crocolore found and kept looks a lot like an Everstone. So this could be the anime's way of explaining why Crocolore didn't evolve during the 1 year time skip while Roy was training. Maybe he's had an Everstone this whole time. I personally think that's a fantastic addition and a great explanation. I was so confused how Crocolore didn't evolve during a whole 1 year time span when Roy was meant to be training so hard, so Crocolore unknowingly having an Everstone for most of that time makes so much sense. And hey, before anybody panics that it could be another Ash's Rowlet situation, I'm sure Roy will realise it's an Everstone and remove it so Crocolore can evolve in the next arc. Or who knows, maybe it is just a random pebble that he picked up. A few hours later, Roy and Alt find themselves at an old temple. You see, Mayonnaise told them they should head there and challenge one of Kalos' most famously powerful Pokemon, known as the Yellow Blast. That will supposedly help them with mastering Mega Evolution. So Roy and Alt begin exploring the temple, and after a period of getting lost in the windy hallways and falling into traps, they eventually find themselves themselves in front of a mysterious shiny Lucario, the Yellow Blast. Roy and Alt immediately challenge Lucario, but Lucario moves at such unfathomable speeds. It dodges their attacks, and then it hits Sableye and Crocodile with utterly immense power, and then immediately after it effortlessly counters their next attacks too, knocking the two of them out without even breaking a sweat. Dude, I love the concept of Roy's Lucario being like a famous legend in Kalos, the mysterious Yellow Blast who's so overwhelmingly powerful that nobody can defeat it. That really does add so much mystique and, mind the pun, aura to his character. Seeing Lucario meditating in the temple, just waiting for a challenge, was so cool, and then seeing how it battles, how it moved with such grace and force, and then effortlessly destroyed Roy and Alt. This was the coolest and most interesting that Roy's Lucario has ever been to me. In a way, it kinda confuses me how Roy's Lucario went from being this to then go on to be the quite generic and boring Lucario that we met after the time skip. So yeah, Roy is shocked and devastated at how badly they lost, and that is where the episode ended. I've already explained enough how this episode actually made me like and appreciate Roy's Lucario way more, and how I'm so hyped about the Luca stuff and the Ash stuff, so I won't repeat all of that again, but I also really enjoyed how this episode characterized Alt even more. Learning that his hometown is Lumio City, that he had a job litter picking, that he already had Sableye's Megastone. It's the little details like that really let us delve deep into a character. Master Mayonnaise is a fun character too. It did feel strange having the Prism Tower being so present here without Clement and Bonnie being around. I know obviously they weren't needed or necessary, it's not the end of the world that we didn't see them, but man would it have been special if we did. I'm still gonna hold out a little bit of hope for that to happen. What I will say is that something this episode did slightly underwhelm me or disappoint me on was the characterization of Roy and Captain Pikachu. The two of them felt exactly the same as how they felt before the time skip, and for me that's a bit of a shame. This flashback took place very shortly after Friede supposedly died, and very shortly after the Horizon Vault Tacklers broke up. I think it would have been way more powerful to see Roy or Captain Pikachu being a bit more down, to clearly still be struggling with that loss. If they felt less low energy, or maybe slightly more depressed at the beginning of the episode, then the excitement they would have felt meeting Urito and Lucario and trying to master Mega Evolution, that would have hit so much harder, it would have been so much more special, you know? Those things in Lumio City could help them overcome their grief. They could be the things that help them get their training back on track, leading them to where they are at the beginning of Mega Voltage. But instead, Roy and Cap just acted like they always have. It felt like the whole losing Friede thing didn't even happen. Oh well, hopefully they somehow integrate this idea into the next two episodes, even if it would have made more sense in this episode. So yeah, overall, this episode was way more of a setup episode for the two episodes to come, and although it did seem a little bit generic, I still found a fair amount of enjoyment in watching the episode, and Roy's Lucario was definitely the standout for me. Let me know what you thought about this one in the comments below, and be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the review. Thank you so much to all of my incredible channel members like Fizz, Toten, Shiny, Juscadia, Not Mini, Hope, Bonnie, Melissa, Shareborn, Pokesan, Ramondis. You guys are legends. And yeah, on that note, sorry again for how rough and sick I sounded in this video, but otherwise, thank you all so much for watching and best wishes until we meet again.